Let's now move on to the Yamaha exclusive events for our next two, as we have two one-make championships to follow up from the T-Max Cup, which we did a few days ago. And now that we have done that, it's time to move on to these two events. They're both two race events, as we've got the TZ125 exclusive and the TZ250 exclusive. So let's begin with this one, limited to only one bike. So it's almost like the T-Max Cup in a way, except for saying that this time we are doing 5 laps around each of these tracks, and we are going to Tsukuba, Suzuka and Motegi for our 3 races of this championship. And since I have already used one of the TZ125 models already, I might as well switch to one I have not used, and that's precisely what I did. So, here we go. And as I would have expected, we're all racing in individual stripes. But either way, 5 laps around Tsukuba. Let's see how we do. Hopefully we can do well. I hope. And 5.8 seconds is the gap to the leader, so here's to hoping that we can catch up to the leader before too long. Although since these races are relatively short, except for the last one, I would say 2 of these 3 races are going to be relatively easy. Well, pretty much all of these races I think are going to be relatively easy, but I reckon this one will probably be the most challenging because, well, Tsukuba, of the 3 tracks we're at, this one is definitely the shortest. And 4.7 seconds is now the gap, so I think it's pretty obvious to say that I am going to have to get the hammer down if I want to catch up to the leader. And at this time, I seem to be doing that. And going well, as I shoot up the inside and heading through under the Dunlop Bridge. And now closing in on the leader, as the gap is now 2.6 seconds and continually closing, because that is what I do. I'm also pretty sure I don't have to push too hard to catch up to the leader. I just have to more or less take my time and just, well, let this car come to me. Sorry, let the bike come to me as we press further on. I reckon this race is probably going to be a bit more fun than what the previous race was, because it has to be said, I've not been used to pushing the bike as frequently up to this point as I am now. And to me, that's actually a really strong factor for me to stay in control of, personally. And get the exit off the corner, and now I more or less have to pull away from my opponent, because I now have the lead. Also, because we are both riding the same bike, I honestly do expect this to be pretty easy for me to pull off. So 1.2 seconds is now the gap, and I continue to add to that gap because I clearly have the fastest bike in the field through the corners. And 3 seconds is now the gap to second place. And the gap continues to extend. Because that is what I do best. Alright, final lap. 3.7 seconds is the gap. So it looks like at least one of us is going to make it to the line. So I think it at least looks like one of the AI is going to make it to the line before the fade. And in all honesty, I think this race has actually been pretty fun. Because I've actually been in it for a challenge to come. That challenge has come, and it looks like I am going to walk away victorious once again. As I so often do in this game. And there we go, another win is mine. And now, I will mute myself to, more or less, move this box under my legs, out of the way. Hey everyone, finished. That's nice. So the silver one came home second, red was third, and it was orange who finished in fourth. Okay. We move on. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to move the box that was underneath my legs, and, well, it's weird over the things that just seem to happen under my desk sometimes. But either way, there we go. Our first race is done, and since I have not saved a replay at Tsukuba yet, I might as well change that now. Because I can. So, 1 race down, 2 races to go. I am expecting these next 2 races to go about as dominant as the first one was. I do understand the reason why the best shot option is there, but personally, I just prefer to get my replays taped because then I have as many dynamic angles of the bike that I can use in terms of clickbait shots. And so begins race 2 at Suzuka Circuit West. A track which, I gotta say, I've not actually raced at in a playthrough until now. Plus I'm pretty sure there are also hardly, if any, race events in Gran Turismo 4 itself that actually race at Suzuka Circuit. Unless you are willing to account for the arcade mode, but I don't really think that counts in terms of overall progress, because unlike the previous GT games, well, arcade mode doesn't really count towards overall progress in GT4. It's mainly just there as an option. And it would basically stay that way from GT4 onwards to about GT6, where arcade mode was mainly just a liability option, rather than an actual progression thing that you have to do in order to beat the game. And this bike has reached its top speed. But you know what? I don't really care, because I'm still up front and competing for the race lead, which I am pretty sure I will inevitably get either this lap or most certainly the next lap. And I just keep it under control there through Dagna, but heading through the hairpin once again and up to the radius now, as we have a chicane in the middle of it. Got a little bit of a push there from behind, but able to keep myself under control. We do more or less keep it robust but fair. And it looks like we're doing okay at this point. And now I just have to continue to run away with the race lead. And hitting the rev limiter about 3 times before going through 130R. And now a little early there on the brakes, but able to more or less prep myself for those 2 right-handers. And up to this point, things are going well. Even though I continue to run wide through some of these corners, but either way. 3 seconds the gap. And it looks like it's more or less going to extend from here as we head through the chicane just after the hairpin, and underneath that Suzuka Circuit signboard, heading up through the spoon curve, and also passing some pylons whilst I'm at it. And so we continue to pull away, as I set a new best lap time by half a second. Gap is now 3.8 seconds to the leader, or thereabouts. And we are doing okay. And almost running wide on the exit of Dagno once again, but able to keep it under control. And 4.1 seconds is now the gap. So I am slowly but surely nipping away from my nearest opponent. And it looks like this is going to be another easy win from what I can see. I'm not necessarily pushing, I'm mainly just taking it easy and just making sure I take care of the bike, which is more or less what I have been doing throughout this race. And ironically, I'm still going faster as a result. So 4.6 seconds is now the gap, as I get a little bit loose there on the curbs, but able to save the bike. And everything seems to be okay. So heading through Degner one last time. And I'm pretty sure the odds of me losing now are pretty much slim to none, as long as I don't suddenly have a slew of mistakes right at the end, but I know that's not going to happen because I'm pretty comfortable with this bike right now. And I'm also fairly certain that there's no one behind me who is really going to be mounting any serious challenges opposition-wise. And so we score another easy win, and as a result of me just being laid back, we score another fastest lap by half a second. So 5.4 seconds the gap to the silver, 10 seconds to red, and 14 seconds to orange. So once again, everyone has made it to the finish line right before the fade. I'm hopeful and saying that will continue by the time we get to Motegi. It probably won't, but it would be nice if it did, is what I'm saying. But anyway, there we go. 2 races down, and still 1 race to go. Let's now go and get that one final race win on the TZ125. Because I can do that. So, let's go. 1 more race to go, and then we can move on to the 250cc competition model series. So 5 laps around Twin Ring Motegi. This race is only going to be a bit longer than the first 2 races, but if this championship has taught me anything, it's knowing that this has more or less been a pretty smooth ride for me, and just knowing that the competition has actually been closer to me in this race than they have, in this championship than they have been for most of the championships in this game so far. But either way, it's another one-make event, and it's fair to say that if this event has taught me anything, it's that I can more or less afford to ride easy, because I pretty much have the championship well in hand from winning those first 2 races, and 8 seconds is now the gap to the leader. So, looks like it's probably going to take me a lap or 2 to fully catch up to the leader, but aside from that, I think we should be okay, as long as I keep going at this stage. And 6.7 seconds is now the gap, and so we move on. So just got these little corners here to go. And a little bit of an undershoot there through that corner, but able to more or less maintain race speed. It looks like this one is going to be a bit more of a challenge than the first two races were in terms of competition, so this is more or less where I'm going to have to start pushing it. And that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. And had to lift off the throttle there just for a split second. Otherwise, if I didn't, then that would have resulted in me falling off the bike because the curbs would have caught me out. But either way, we still have plenty of time to catch up to the leader. And up to this point, we're doing okay. And 3.9 seconds is now the gap to the leader. So I reckon it's going to be at least one more lap before I fully get caught back up to the leader. And the gap is now 2.6 seconds to the leader, so I reckon it's going to be the following lap where I catch up to him, most likely. And in all honesty, that's actually pretty good, because it means that I'm actually having to try to go for the win, rather than just slowly but surely coaxing my way to the win. Because I am basically doing so on what's essentially an overpowered bike. Or what feels like an overpowered bike. However, since we're basically all running the same spec motorbikes here, this one has definitely felt like one of those races where I am actually having to basically push in order to realistically get these wins, and that's probably what makes this so fun. When you're actually having to push for the wins instead of just having to just, you know, methodically work your way forwards and just, well, I guess you could say leaving your competition in the dust. And he has run very wide through that hairpin there. As we now head down the back stretch, 3/10 is now the gap. As I just have a little look behind me, I'm pretty sure he's not going to catch me. I do of course give him racing room just in case, but just having a little bit of a look there, but able to stay on top of the bike. He is coming back on me. He goes round the outside, up the front stretch into the first right-hander. And so far so good. And on the penultimate lap, I now take over the race lead. and I don't feel like that lead change is going to be the last. And you know what? I really want to go for it, because I can do that. So, 1/10 is the gap. I still have time to catch up to the leader. It's fair to say that we're definitely putting on quite a battle here for the race win at the moment. And in all honesty, I've kind of been waiting for this, to see just how long it would be before someone would actually put me to the test. I'm kind of holding back here in terms of my overall pace, because... Oh, he gave me a push. Yep. He definitely gave me a bump and run there. Something that I can assure you would never happen in real life, but I'm pretty sure that's what he did there. He definitely gave me a bump and run as we went through that hairpin there before the backstretch. I'm pretty sure that would likely never happen in real life, because one of us would almost certainly fall off. Would almost certainly go down, if not both of us. Anyway. 1 lap to go at Twin Ring Motegi. Can I manage to find a way through? I certainly hope I can. This has been a hard-fought race, and I saw my opponent, the dummy. He tries to pass me from the outside, but he's not going to. I am well inside where I need to be, and ultimately that's pretty much the battle over now, as I have at least a few tenths to back me up. Oh, 1 second in fact, to back me up in terms of clearing my opponent. And in all honesty, that was actually a pretty good battle for those, I think it was 2 laps we were battling for the lead. But either way, I've pretty much cleared my opponent now, because I figured I at least had to put on some sort of battle to make this look more interesting than it actually has been. But either way, the AI have definitely been closer to me in this event than they were in the previous event, and you know what? I'm pretty satisfied with that, because it means I'm actually having to push in order to realistically go for these W's the way I have. And off the final corner we go, and heading up to the checkered flag. And there we go, the 125 competition model series is another clean sweep. And 3.4 seconds, the margin of victory in the end. So good race altogether. Red finishes 3rd and orange finishes 4th. I reckon the next one is probably going to be even closer. But either way, those are your point standings. And once again, it looks like it's pretty much Noah's Ark, and yes it is. So, no real battles in terms of the AI. They've more or less been single file for pretty much all of these championships so far. As in, they've more or less been content with just finishing in the same positions pretty much every time. And I can certainly say that's one element of competition they don't really seem to understand in this game. But whatever. As long as I eventually manage to come away with winning all the races, whether it be in the championship or after the championship, then that's all I really care about. As long as I get to 100%, that's the only thing that really matters. Anyway, there we go. Another championship is won and done. And as a result, we get more riding gear, another helmet. And in terms of our prize bike, we get the road version of the Suzuki RG250. Cool. And we also get the exclusive number 1 as well. However, as you might have guessed, I am not content with changing to the number 1 just yet, because I want to save that for later. But there we go. The 125cc competition model series is now done, and next up will be the 250cc competition model series. Yeah. Anyways, another clean sweep, another easy win, and ultimately, another bike is ours, once I can find it. Here it is. The Suzuki RG250 Gamma. In white and blue, except for saying this time it's the road bike version. And I gotta say, this thing looks pretty good. Anyway, there we go. And now, I will switch over to the other racing spec Yamaha once I find it. And I know it's in here somewhere because I have the other one. Let's see, where is it? Okay, should be in here somewhere. Ah, here it is. I'll switch over to the red one for next time. So, we now switch over to the Yamaha TZ250. And we are now 68.4% complete. So we've gained another 2.1% of progress. And now, all we have left to do is get through the other Yamaha spec model series. And that is what we will do next. So, the 125cc competition model series is now done, and next up we have the 250cc competition model series, coming in the next episode of Tourist Trophy.